Are you looking to multiply by 10 the amount of passive income that you receive every single year? Well, today I'll share with you an easy way on how you can do this by investing in 5 of the all-time best dividend ETFs that you can buy right now in 2023. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first fund on this list. The first ETF that I've decided to include on this list is one that is providing a great mix between some long-term capital appreciation and some attractive dividend income. Add to this, it is one of the largest ETFs on the market with over $68 billion of assets under management. So I've opted for the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF with the ticker VIG. This fund seeks to track the performance of the S&P US Dividend Growth Index, which is an index mainly composed of large cap US companies that have a minimum of 10 years of growth in their dividends. It is why among the largest holdings of this fund, you can find great quality companies such as Apple, Microsoft, JP Morgan, Johnson & Johnson, and ExxonMobil. And so with no surprise, the 3 largest sectors of this fund are the tech, the financials, and the healthcare that all represent by themselves over half of the total assets of this fund. And on your part, by investing in that Vanguard ETF, you can expect to pay some annual management fees of about 0.06% or $6 per $10,000 invest. However, by investing that $10,000 in that fund 10 years ago, this would now be worth about $33,000 or an average annual return of about 11%. And a great advantage of this ETF is that it is able to have some lower level of risk compared to the average funds of its category, while being able to achieve the same potential of return. And for all the dividend income investors, you can expect to receive some great quarterly dividend distribution from this ETF with a dividend yield that is close to 2% at the moment, and with an excellent dividend growth rate of about 8.5%. So if you're looking for great dividend appreciation over time, well, this ETF can be the king. However, if you're looking for an ETF that will provide you higher dividend income, wait until you see my other picks. The second ETF on my list is clearly a no-brainer when it comes to the best dividend ETFs that you can find on the market, and it is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF with the ticker SCHD. This fund, which is one of the most popular ETFs in the entire world, is not only recognized for its incredible and rock-solid past performance history, but also for the attractiveness of its great dividend growth history, but also for the quality of the companies in which they invest and the dividend yield. All of these criteria come from the fact that this fund is tracking the famous Dow Jones US 100 index, which is composed of high-yielding US companies. And so among its biggest holdings, you can find companies such as Cisco, AbbVie, Home Depot, PepsiCo, and Coca-Cola. And in terms of the sectoral distribution of SCHD, you can find that 5 main sectors comes on top, with the industrials leading the way. And after you have the healthcare, the financials, the consumer staples, and the technology sectors. On its side, SCHD, compared to the first ETF that I've just presented to you, invest in all kinds of companies in terms of their market cap. However, since most companies that are able to provide a great sustainable dividend that will grow in the long term are companies with a large market cap, well, it is why about 70% of the total holdings of this fund comes from companies with a market cap of over $70 billion. And just like VIG, this fund also has some super low management fees of only about 0.06% per year or $6 per $10,000 invest. But what is incredible is that with $10,000 invest in SCHD 10 years ago, well, this would now be worth over $35,000 or an incredible average annual return of about 11.5% per year. Plus, with some average level of risk and some average potential of return compared to the same funds of its category, well, this ETF is able to pay a great dividend of about 3.5% per year that is paid on a quarterly basis. All of this while having a great dividend growth rate of about 7%. And so this ETF is quite literally perfect for the investors looking for great stability in their dividend income. Now, the third ETF on my list is quite less known compared to the other previous picks that I've just presented to you, with only about $750 million of assets under its management, but with a multi-factor approach that is looking to select different securities in the fund depending on multiple kind of characteristics. Well, this fund is definitely worth being mentioning on this list. So it is the SPDR Russell 1000 Yield Focus ETF with the ticker ONEY. This fund is designed to reflect the performance of large-cap US equity securities, which demonstrate a combination of core factors including high value, high quality, and low size characteristics. So among the 300 holdings of this fund, you can find companies that have been already screened before to see if they are great quality according to all of these factors. And so among its biggest holdings, you can find companies such as Pioneer Natural Resources, Dividend Energy, 3M, and Tero. In terms of the sectoral distribution, you can find that the financial sectors come at the first place, followed by the industrials and the consumer discretionary. On your part, however, by investing in that fund, you can expect to pay some higher annual management fees of about 0.20% per year or $20 per $10,000 invest. And since the inception of this fund on the market in 2015, your initial $10,000 invest would have grown to over $22,000 or an incredible average annual growth of about 12% per year. All of this makes that this ETF has slightly more potential of return compared to the average fund of its category, but since it is also less liquid compared to large ETFs, it also makes that it has more potential of risk. But what is incredible about this fund is that they are able to provide a great 3% of quarterly dividends to their shareholders while giving an incredible 20% of dividend growth rate. On your side, it could be a great ETF to invest in if you're looking to add more diversification in your portfolio while investing in a smaller ETF that has been able to outperform larger ETFs in the past. But talking about diversification, since the beginning of the video, I've only talked about ETFs that invest only in American companies. And so to solve this problem, I've decided to present to you a fund that will invest in a wider range of countries, which is the Vanguard International High Dividend Yield ETF with the ticker VYM. This fund is tracking the performance of the FTSE All World Except US High Dividend Yield Index, which is a great way for you to add international exposure to your portfolio by investing in companies that are forecast to have a higher dividend compared to the average. So this fund is mainly investing in developed market countries such as Japan, the United Kingdom, Canada, France, and Germany, but they also have about 22% of their total assets invest in emerging markets such as China, Brazil, and Taiwan. It is why among the 1,350 holdings that you can find within this fund, well, you can find great international companies among its biggest holdings such as Novartis, Roche, Shell, and Toyota. But on your side, by investing in that fund, you need to expect to pay some higher annual management fees of about 0.22% per year or $22 per $10,000 invest. And since its inception on the market in 2016, your initial $10,000 would have grown to over $16,000 or an average annual return of about 8% per year. But all of this makes that this fund still has an average level of risk and potential of return compared to the average funds of its category. But a great advantage of this particular Vanguard ETF is that it is able to provide some great quarterly dividends of over 4.5%, with however a dividend growth rate that has been diminishing of about 8%. Nevertheless, on your side, this kind of ETF can be particularly interesting for you if you want to add more geographical diversification in your portfolio, especially if you believe that the emerging markets as well as the international markets will be able to have more opportunities to outperform the US market in the future. And finally, for the cherry on top and one of the best dividend ETFs that you can buy right now in 2023, I've included a fund that is offering some super high dividend yield while also giving more financial stability in the companies in which they are investing. So I've picked the iShares Core High Dividend ETF with the ticker HDV. This fund seeks to track the performance of 75 high-yielding companies that have been screened previously for their financial health. In fact, for the companies to be able to make it into this fund, their economic moat and distance to default ratings must indicate that the company isn't in a financial distress and that is able to maintain some sort of competitive advantage. This is simply giving more stability and safety for all the investors that are looking to invest in this ETF, because by buying this ETF, you are investing in high-quality companies such as ExxonMobil, Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, Chevron, and Verizon. And in terms of the sectoral distribution, the energy sector comes at the first place, closely followed by the healthcare sector, and after you have the financials and the tech sectors. On your part, by investing in that fund, you can expect to pay some mere annual management fees of about 0.08% per year or $8 per $10,000 invest. And over the last 10 years, your initial $10,000 investment would have grown to over $25,000 or an average return of about 8% per year. As you might be able to understand, despite having some lower potential of return, this ETF also has some lower level of risk compared to the average funds of its category. Add to this, they are also paying some great quarterly dividends of over 4% with some incredible dividend growth rate of over 30%. So if you're looking to invest in an ETF that gives you great dividend stability by also giving you great potential of growth in their dividend over the long term, well, this one can be particularly interesting for you. But now that you've just discovered what are 5 of the best dividend ETFs that you can buy right now in 2023, you might be wondering, hey, but Louis, what are the best ETFs that I can buy right now to grow my capital as much as possible on the long term? Well, to find the answer to this question, check out the video that's gonna be right over here, and I will see you soon. Peace!